Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the North West and West Cambridge Community Forum. I'm Philippa Kelly. I'm the Strategic Sites Manager for the Greater Cambridge Shared Planning Service. This forum is being jointly administered and delivered by Cambridge City Council and South Cambridgeshire District Council in recognition that a number of development proposals in this area are within both the administrative areas of both councils, and this will bring it in line with other City Edge forums, for example at North East Cambridge and East Cambridge. The councils facilitate several community forums for new neighbourhoods arising from growth in Greater Cambridge. These bring residents, council officers, councillors, developers and other stakeholders together to raise issues and discuss how developments are moving forward. Forums provide an opportunity for discussion and information sharing, and they're not part of the formal planning process. If there are any elected members present from either the District Council or the City Council, and you'd like to make your presence known, please do write your name in the question and answer function. Thank you. This forum is being recorded and will be shared via the City Council's website for those that cannot attend. For participants who ask questions verbally, your voice will be recorded, but not your video. The agenda for this evening includes a development update on one of our key sites, Eddington, by Matthew Johnson from the University of Cambridge. We will also have updates from Susan Jackson and Joe Notonaikola in the City Council's Community and Sport Development team. This forum is also attended by representatives from a number of key stakeholder organisations in this area who are available to respond to any questions which may be raised during the course of this evening. Thank you to all our partners for supporting this forum, and thank you to everyone presenting. In terms of general housekeeping arrangements, questions relating to the presentations or the wider development in this area can be typed into the Q&A function at any time. I'll read them out and can ask on your behalf either at the end of each presentation, or if more appropriate, or if it looks like we are running out of time and we need to move on to the next update to keep to the allotted time as part of the general question and answer session later this evening. If we're unable to answer your question, we will provide a written response after the meeting, which will be shared on the forum website. Please note that the questions and answer function should be used for questions only rather than making general statements. We do, however, welcome feedback and comments, and we'll share details for doing so at the end of the evening. Now, before we move on to our first speaker, I wanted to take this opportunity to say a few words about Darwin Green 1 and specifically the site known as BDW2. Many of you here this evening will be aware of the situation on the BDW2 development site relating to the foundation failure of a number of plots which are in the process of being constructed and which will require remediation work, including demolition. A Darwin Green 1 update from Andrew McLaren from Barratt David Wilson Homes had been arranged for this forum, but unfortunately earlier this week he sent his apologies, with the reason being that BDW Homes wish to consolidate their messaging with regard to the BDW2 development site and will be arranging separate engagement to involve all stakeholders later this month. The council is in receipt of a statement from Barratt Developments, and I'm going to take the opportunity to read that out now. We've only just received it late this evening, but I think it's useful to read the statement out now, and we'll also put a link to that on the forum website. So, statement about the foundation works at Darwin Green, Cambridge from Barratt Developments. We identified an issue with the foundations as part of our quality control inspections. As a result of this, we immediately appointed an independent specialist civil engineering consultant. Working together with the NHBC and other advisors, they investigated the root cause of the problem. Their investigation found that a number of unoccupied properties, which are at varying stages of construction, had a fault with their foundations. We considered a number of possible solutions to remove all risk of foundation failure, and this resulted in the decision that the properties affected would have to be demolished and rebuilt. We are working closely with the local authority, parish councils and local councillors to ensure that they are regularly updated on the progress of this issue. Most importantly, we are regularly speaking to our customers, both the customers in phase 1 who already live in their homes and also the customers whose homes will need to be rebuilt. We have met with all of the customers whose homes need to be rebuilt. We have also written to the customers in phase 1 to answer their concerns about the safety of their homes and any potential disruption that could be caused by our works. We are currently in the process of agreeing with the City Council and the Local Planning Authority the plan for the demolition and rebuilding of homes. We want to stress that customers are at the heart of everything we do, and we understand that this situation will have caused distress to some customers. We plan to work with everyone involved to keep you fully informed at every stage of the remediation works as they develop. That's the end of the statement from Barratt Developments. I think given the situation, I feel it's also important to reiterate and expand upon some of the key points of the City Council statement in relation to the BDW2 development site, which was issued at the end of last week. And firstly, this is a very complex situation. Demolition is controlled by two separate legislative processes, the Town and Country Planning Act and the Building Act. And as the Barratt Development statement advises, council officers are working very closely with BDW Homes to understand the extent of the issue on site and to provide advice in terms of the next steps to ensure that the legislative frameworks are properly complied with. Officers are advising that a planning application will be required for the demolition of a number of the properties, and officers are providing advice on the technical content of any application. Specialists from the City Council's Environmental Health team are assisting in this. We want to ensure that the impacts on existing residential amenity is minimised and that any impacts from, for example, dust, noise and vibrations are all appropriately controlled. And in terms of the developer's responsibilities under the Building Act, the Council's shared building control team isn't the building control provider for the BDW2 development, but 3C Building Control is the local enforcing body and are advising BDW of their responsibilities under the Building Act to ensure that the next phase of works is compliant with building regulations. This morning, building control officers attended a site visit. I went along to that site visit as well. This will hopefully allow the registration of the demolition notice to be completed, but no demolition will be taking place until any required planning submissions have been approved. I understand that there's arrangements for a public meeting on BDW2, which has been led by the developer, which will take place at the end of this month on Thursday, the 29th of June at Storiesfield Centre. BDW Homes have been asked to confirm those details, and once we've received that information, we'll publish that on our forum website. I'm just going to look in the questions and answers now to see if there's any points arising. There's a couple of points about the statement they've written. I'm not in a position to comment on that. We've just received that, and that's the Barratt Developments position that they've provided to the council. And the question about whether the Barratt's not attending tonight is acceptable or not. It's disappointing they're not here. They have provided the statement as we've asked for, and they will be facilitating the public meeting at the end of the month. So there will be opportunities to have a full and considered opportunity to ask questions of BDW Homes. I am very conscious of time constraints, and so I'd like to move on to the next item on this agenda. I may come back to any other questions relating to this at the end of this evening, but if there isn't time, we will take those questions away and provide a formal written response, which we will put on the forum's website at the end within the next 2 weeks. So I think now we should move on to the next item on the agenda. As we move on to the site updates, can I please remind speakers of the importance of sticking to their time? This enables the forum to run smoothly and allow enough time for questions. So our first briefing is an update on the Eddington development site, and I'd like to introduce Matt Johnson from the University of Cambridge, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippa. I'll just share my screen if you have a moment. Apologies for the delay. Hopefully you can see my presentation slides now.
Yes, we can see that now, Matt.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so I'll do a very brief overview of an update on North West Cambridge, and then I'll obviously be happy to take any questions from attendees. So the CGI you can see on the right here covers all elements of Eddington that have been consented under phase 1 of the development. In terms of what that includes, that's 700 affordable homes for qualifying university and college key workers. We've got over 1,000 market homes consented now from our partner developers, Hill, Durkan and Present Made. The community facilities that have been delivered to date include a 3-form entry primary school, the community centre and nursery facility, a health facility, sports pitches, open space and numerous play areas. In terms of commercial space that's being delivered, we've got the Sainsbury's supermarket, the Dolcetto patisserie. We have up to 7 further local shops that we're in advanced conversations about getting all of those occupied. And we have the Turing Lock Hotel. In a bit more detail in terms of the market housing plots that have been consented. So Hill are on site with M1, M2 currently, and that's their Knights Park development that's nearing the end of its phase of development. We hope to see that completed towards the end of this year. M3, which is the plot next to the cricket pitch, has recommenced, having been paused through COVID. So Hill are back on site there. S3 to the south, the long plot that's closest to the park and ride, that's nearing completion with a number of occupants moved in there now. We have lot 4, which is next to the M1, M2 development in this location, and Hill have also commenced development on that site. S1, S2, which is the development adjacent to the Ridgeway up here, is our Present Made scheme, which will be a build to rent scheme. They have now received all of their necessary planning consents and are looking forward to a start on site later this year. And similarly with M4, M5, which is our scheme with Durkan over here, they are also hoping to start on site later this year. I'll do a brief update here about some of the placemaking activity that's occurring at Eddington. First of all, we had our beer garden at the end of April. We had over 2,000 people attend that in Eddington Market Square. It was very popular. We had a lot of positive feedback, and we are very excited that it was a bit of an indication of what the square will be like once we've got all of the retail activated there. I want to alert you about an event that's happening on this Saturday, the 17th of June. So MitFit are a local fitness enterprise that base themselves at Eddington doing personal training and boot camp classes. They are hosting a sports day that is free for members of the community and their clients and families to come along and join on Saturday at the Eddington Sports Fields. And this will include lots of fun activities based around fitness, but also on typical kind of family events like rounders and egg and spoon races. In terms of further updates, we also have our self-guided nature walks, which you can access a guide to on our website. These were recently featured in the Cambridge Press, and they've proven to be very popular. You can take a guide with you and do your own self-guided walks of the different nature aspects of Eddington. And then a couple of further transport updates. The Universal bus fleet is being replaced and will be going fully electric later this summer. We're very much looking forward to that, and the children in the primary school have recently concluded a competition to name all the buses, and there will be an announcement about those names imminently. And we're also in consultation about bringing some speed indication devices onto the roads at Eddington to give people a warning if they are exceeding the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. But that's the end of my presentation, and I'm very happy to take any questions now or at the end of the session.
Great, many thanks, Matt. Just looking in the chat or in the Q&A to see if we have any questions. Yes, a question has come in. Could you provide an update on Ridgeway lighting, please?
Yes, absolutely. So we've had numerous of our stakeholders raise the issue of Ridgeway lighting. Obviously, the Ridgeway has been delivered in a temporary state and isn't part of the permanent infrastructure of the site currently. it's historically been our position that lighting wouldn't be provided in there because there is no electrical infrastructure to enable it, and there are issues around biodiversity and how it would impact birds and bats if we were to light that in the undeveloped land. We have just concluded a design study that has provided some indications of temporary lighting that we could install that would resolve the issue through to when the permanent installation of the Ridgeway has occurred. So we're just going through the findings of that study, but we are confident that that will be an improvement, and we'll be speaking to council officers in the near future about implementing that. There are a number of medium-term interventions that we're making. So we have had some temporary construction lighting on the element of the Ridgeway that runs between Swales Court and the Girton main campus. That is being removed now due to the longer days and the end of term, but we will also be working with Hill in the very near future to bring in a further form of temporary lighting that will be serviced from their compound that they have adjacent to Lot 4, as that addresses the issue that we have around electrical supplies for lighting. So I'm hopeful that by the winter months later this year, we will have a solution that will resolve this issue for all the users of the Ridgeway.
Super, thanks for that update, Matt. We've got another question around Ridgeway, and then I'll come on to another separate question. So the question referring to Ridgeway is: the planning application for some of the sites around Ridgeway noted closing this pathway for a period of time. Are you able to indicate the length of time and what the diversion for pedestrians, etc., would be?
Absolutely. So we don't have the detailed construction plans that would lead to any closures of the Ridgeway at the moment, but it is our aspiration that we won't have any closures of the Ridgeway, and that construction can be conducted safely with the full Ridgeway remaining open. The kind of observable exception to that people may see at the moment is Garrard Street, which is the spur of the Ridgeway that comes south towards the Sainsbury's car park entrance. It's not possible to keep that part open whilst delivering the M3 construction. We have looked at it in detail, but neither we nor Hill are comfortable that the crossover between pedestrians and cyclists and construction deliveries can be managed safely. That said, that element is closed, but there is a diversion just to the north of the M3 site by the playground and the Storage Field Centre that provides the same kind of transport time, but it's a little bit further out of the way of where the Garrard Street closure is.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. We're really putting you on the spot this evening. Another question for you. Is there any intention to join up the nature plans with Girton's Nature Recovery Group?
I'm not aware of Girton's Nature Recovery Group, but I'd be very happy to take that away and discuss how we can incorporate what we're doing with that group.
Super. Okay, that's a good takeaway there. Thank you. And is there a timescale for the extension to the route of the U-bus?
So the extension of the route to the U-bus is happening alongside the replacement of the fleet. And for people that don't know, this is an extension of the route that will take it further up Huntingdon Road and bring it down to serve Girton College before coming back into Eddington. So we expect that to also be implemented when the electric buses arrive later this summer.
Super, that's great. I should have also said at the start, we do have a couple of panelists from the County Council's Highways team. So Jess Tuttle, Tam Parry, if there's anything you wanted to add to any questions related to the Highways remit, by all means do chip in. But I think, Matt, you've answered that question well, so thank you for that. I'm just looking in the Q&A to see if there's any more questions in relation to the Eddington development. Doesn't look like there are. However, if any more do crop up, Matt, during the course of this evening, we can come back to them in the general wash up later on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, okay. So moving on now, next on the agenda, we have got an update on community sport provision, and this is going to be provided by Jo Notonaikola from the City Council. Thank you, Jo. Over to you.
Thanks, Philippa. Okay, let me just share my screen with you all again. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that.
Yes, we can see that, Jo. Thanks.
Great, no problem. Okay, let me just see if I can get that. Okay, lovely. So yes, Darwin Green Pavilion, as some people may or may not know already, it's recently gone through the planning committee and been approved. So this is going to happen, and what you see is the final design for the pavilion and also the sports pitch layout as well. So let me go through and just explain exactly what we've got going into the pavilion. First of all, we've got the clubhouse and community area, which is an 83-metre square club room and a patio and veranda for outdoor seating. We've got a reception and welcome area with community notice boards and desk and that sort of nice welcome area, maybe with things like drinks machines and stuff like that. So well catered for. A community kitchen with internal and external servery, as well as toilets and accessible toilet as well. The changing rooms inside, we've got 14 changing rooms set out in pairs, and they're both lockable. Shower and toilet facilities within the changing rooms as well, and they have access straight out to the pitch. There's no internal access from the change room to the clubhouse, so it will be a matter of having to walk outside to come back inside again. That's just to ensure that if there were separate events happening, they can be kept separate. And the change room areas are complying with Sport England standards and FA standards to ensure that we're getting that right in terms of safeguarding practices as well. Externally, we've got 15 parking bays, including disability parking and coach drop-off area. That's all been confirmed. Apologies, I wrote this before it went through planning, so that once again that's confirmed. And also we've got plant rooms and bin stores, equipment stores externally as well. We will have benches facing out to the grass area, to the pitches, as well as cycle parking. And then environmental features include a ceiling roof, a sustainable drainage system, air source, heat pumps, and LED lighting throughout the building. As you can see here, we've got the building as it is from different angles. So sort of picture one will be the kitchen servery to the right of that, and then to the patio area and the veranda. Number two will be the pitch side view. So looking at the changing room areas there with the veranda and the patio doors on the right there for the community room. And then number three will be the front of the building, if you like, the entrance there, with where the block of changing rooms would be onto the right of that. And then the other side will be where the bin stores and other external stores will be as well. And then we have it. There's a bit of a view of what it's going to look like. As you can see, there's a nice under cover area for bike parking as well. You've got the entrance door there where the writing is, and the sloped ceiling roof that will be form part of that area as well. The lower part of the building will be changing areas, and obviously then you can see on the lower picture the almost wraparound patio area and doors as well, and windows. And then you've got the servery hatch there at the back of the building. And this is the area in which we're looking at here. So all the parking space has been confirmed. It's the red area that we've been looking at. So this is a bird's eye view of what you've got here. So we're looking at an area here that is all paved as a patio, coming around the sides all the way around, if you like. And then we've got the area here where the small sort of or looks like a pond area, which is the sustainable drainage system here, and likewise on the left hand side where there's a strip of that there as well. Very much for environmental area and for part of the council's biodiversity work as well that they're putting in. And hopefully this circle will also just demonstrate that exactly as well. So that whole area there, that green area there, is going to be the sustainable drainage area, as well as trees being planted, some seating, and that will look out, if you're looking out the service hatch from the kitchen, also accessible as well out the patio doors and from around the front of the building as well. You can also see the change room layouts. So we're looking at the doors here in terms of having disability and referees changing room changing area, sort of next to the community room, if you like. And then the other two areas here will be 2 blocks of changing rooms. In their blocks, it will be both the locks internally and external lock as well on those. And then the grass pitches and courts for the area, we've got space for 2 times 11 aside pitches, so full adult pitches, and within that we'll be able to mark out junior football pitches as well, to FA standards and how they like the pitches to be marked. We'll have 4 cricket wickets, grass cricket wickets, that will be the upkeep will be with the City Council, and then we'll have 3 tarmac tennis courts alongside that, and then we've got the multi-use games area as well that I believe is in the final stage of development at the moment, and access should be granted hopefully quite soon, but there's no date on that just yet. There's also the children's play area that is I believe imminently opening as well. And then you'll also have more of the sustainable drainage areas around the facility as well. So this is just a bit of a bird's eye view of what you can expect. So as you can see, there's the 2 full-size football pitches plus the 4 cricket wickets and its boundary. And within those football pitches, we'll be able to mark out more junior football pitches, whether it be 5v5, 7v7 or 9v9. And then you can see to the left of the pitches, you can see the other sports areas as well, such as the multi-use games area and the 3 tennis courts. And then to the bottom left of that, you've got the children's play area as well. As you can see as well, just as you come into the pavilion, there is a through road. So you use it as there's no turning area. You drive through around the car park, past the pavilion into the car park and back out again. So it will be operating a one-way system to avoid any snarl-ups, traffic jams in that area. And hopefully that will be managed well with correct signage as time goes on as well. And then in terms of other events and activities happening in the local area, Matt did go through a couple of them earlier on in his presentation, but we do have Storysfield Park Run that happens at 9 AM on Saturday mornings, which is completely free. It's buggy and wheelchair friendly, being a really, really flat surface, and get a lot of people coming across from different areas of the county and further afield. MitFit boot camps are operating out of the Sports Pavilion on most days of the week, I believe, nowadays, and they're doing really, really well. So there's another one to look for. You've got our Active Families event, which is actually run by the team that I'm in, which is on the Tuesday, 22nd of August, 10 till 1 in Edmonton. And we'll be bringing a host of different activities along to that, including play equipment for younger ones and also some sports activities for the slightly older ones as well. We're hoping in the near future, I mentioned the Mugger at Darwin Green, we're hoping to get some youth sessions going over there when we're able to do that. But until we get the go ahead, that's going to be on hold, but we're really hoping that's going to be quite soon, especially over the summer months. And then we've got cycle maintenance workshops as well that we're hoping we're going to be booked in for July over in Edmonton. And we're hoping that we can also bring those over to Darwin Green when we've got the facilities up and running. Close by, you've also got Chesterton Sports Centre and University of Cambridge Sports Centre, and you've also got some fitness classes at Storysfield, amongst other community bookings that may interest some of you as well. So worth taking a look at their timetable to see if there's anything of interest for you. And I've put a couple of websites there that you can access some of the City Council active lifestyles sessions for us for you to look at and see if you're interested in. Bring your family, bring your partner along too, anything like that. So we've got those different activities that could be of interest for you. And there are my contact details. We've also got general inquiries contact as well, and then also our senior planner Julia, who's been working with me to put this presentation together. So that's everything from me in terms of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Super, many thanks, Joe. Great presentation. We've got a few questions. I think hopefully, not wanting to put you on the spot, but you might be able to advise us on, and don't worry, if you don't know the answer, we'll take that away and we'll do a written update. What size is the Mugger?
Very good question. I don't actually know. It's something that I haven't actually been very much involved with. I only heard about it actually only about 3 weeks ago from a colleague who recently left the council for other job prospects. So I'm not actually sure. There is definitely basketball markings on there and football markings. I think it's going to be the same sort of size as what a tennis court is, with its runoffs as well. But I don't want people to take my word for that.
Okay, that's fine. Another question for you. So from the plans, it looks like the changing rooms have communal showers.
Yeah.
Wouldn't separate cubicles be more inclusive?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, definitely can be. We're looking at the Sport England standard. We've worked with them to get this right, and what they've said to us around putting this plan together is what we've got is really good. There may be something down the line where we have to put in some cubicles, but it's at the moment we're complying with those standards. So whilst we can, we will keep it that way.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. And I think that's an important point to make, that as part of that planning application process, Sport England did provide quite detailed consultation advice, which we took on board. We are fully in compliance with that, and they do support the scheme. And if I may just say a little bit about that planning process, because we have had some questions about, well, the first question was, given the foundations issues on phase 2, why did the council grant planning permission for the pavilion building? Well, the issues of a developer and should not influence the determination of a planning application. So we assess the material planning reasons as part of our planning officer's assessment. It was an incredibly thorough, comprehensive officer report that Julia took to planning committee yesterday. And the officer recommendation was one of approval. There were no material reasons why we should withhold the granting of the planning permission, and the situation, that is being experienced with the developer on the site aren't material planning reasons why we should not grant planning permission if a scheme is found to be acceptable in all other reasons. So hopefully that addresses that. There's a question also, I think, about what comfort can the council give about the foundations of the pavilion. Now, the planning process deals with sort of what I'd say sort of the visual, the details of what a building looks like and the arrangements of that, the landscaping perhaps, and the parking provision or whatever. The building regulation process will deal with the specification for the foundations and so forth. So as part of that process, the developer will need to ensure that the relevant building regulations are complied with. What I can do as a takeaway from that question is just ask one of our building control team to map out what that process would involve. Now, the developer doesn't have to use our 3CBC building control team. They can use an appointed inspector, which was what they've done elsewhere on the site, to sign off the building regulation side of things. But we can just clarify that position with regard to the pavilion. But as I say, it's a separate legislative regime. That aspect wouldn't fall under the planning act. So hopefully that addresses that point. Now, Joe, a question for you about the sports pavilion, the existing sports pavilion, the old sports pavilion at Darwin Green. Do you know what's going to happen to that, or is that more of a question for BDW Homes?
Yeah, I think it's going to be for BDW, if I'm honest with you. I'm not too sure what the prospects are for that one, if I'm honest with you.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Yeah, so there's more questions being asked about the Darwin Green and why we sort of were seen to prioritise the statement from Barratt David Wilson. It was simply because they pulled out quite late in the day of this session, and therefore we felt it was quite appropriate to ask them for a statement and to give that statement this evening to help people understand why they couldn't take part. A public meeting is being arranged for later in the month. We will provide the details of that when we know, but if there are questions that you wish to direct to Barratt David Wilson Homes as part of that meeting on the 29th, please do send them into I think we've got a Northwest Community Forum inbox that we can take all those questions through that route. Joe, I'm just looking at the chat to see if there's any more questions in relation to the pavilion. And no, they're not. So I just thank you very much indeed for your presentation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now moving on to the next part of the agenda, we've got an update from Susan Jackson, who is our Community Development Officer at the City Council. Hi, Suzanne, over to you. Thank you.
Hi. Hello, thank you for that introduction. I'm just going to share my screen, just got some lovely slides to show you. I'm the Community Development Officer for Darwin Green and Eddington and the wider Castle area, and just like to chat today about the work that we've been doing in Darwin Green and Eddington and future events, just chat about the community chest funding that's available and how you can contact me. Firstly, my role is to assist local groups and residents to create new groups, new community groups, and to help any initiatives that come from residents to create groups, events that contribute to the building of their community. And on the screen, you'll see some events that we've been doing for the last few months. We've reinstated the baby toddler weigh-ins at the Teddington Under 5s family group. They meet on a Tuesdays at Storiesfield Centre once a month. The health visitors come along and assist families to self-weigh their children and answer any questions that they may have. This is a very lovely group, and I would urge people to make use of this amazing opportunity. So that's a really nice one. We've also we ran a larger event back in Easter in Darwin Green. This was a community safety event, and we invited partners to come along to this, such as the Neighbourhood Watch, the PCSO, Fire Safety in the Home, Road Safety, Cambridge City Council's Community Safety Team and County Council's Anti-Scam Team. We also had Bessie the Library Bike come along, and I believe they gained quite a few library card applications from their visit. They had some nice teas and coffees. Alongside that, we ran a playing out event, and this was where families were played out on their street. And this was run in partnership with the local residents. We asked their permission to run the event, to close the road, and to borrow their wheelie bins to hold up our road closure signs. And we had about 40 families come along to do that. And we were supported by the Active Lifestyles team in this event, and they acted as activators and brought lots of toys for the children and families to use. And lastly, we've been doing some walkabouts in Darwin Green, and we've had 4 of these, and the aims of these are to listen to the residents' concerns whilst we go for a walk. These are led by the community. We go where they want, and we chat about what they want to do. We've been very lucky with the weather so far on these, and even lucky when one of the Darwin Green residents arranged for the Eddington Residents Association chair to come along and give us a guided tour all around Eddington, which was really interesting and informative, and I got to see the white rabbits. So just talk about some future events now. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. So coming up to some future events, we're planning more community walks. We'll arrange the next one and hoping to arrange more community walks in Darwin Green in partnership with the local residents. And we'd like the residents to plan these, and you can decide the times, days of the week, the place, and if there's any focus on particular attendees who want to come. So if anybody has any suggestions of walks they'd like to do, or know somebody who would like to give us who they think would be interesting to give us a talk as we walk, please do contact me. We're currently planning a large community picnic in Eddington on Wednesday, July the 26th of July at lunchtime, and this will be happening at Storiesfield and the cricket pitch. This event is funded by the City Council and is part of their summer programme of events. And it's a coming together of city partners such as museums, the Children's Hospital, children's centres, libraries, plus fun extras as well. We're also inviting local groups, local community groups to come along and attend, whether it's a stall or to run an activity. And we currently have a choir, a local dance group, and we're hoping that the wonderful Eddie's Cafe will be open on that day. All details to be confirmed. We'll have some posts up in the area very soon. If you're a part of any community group that would like to attend, please do contact me. This event is going to be in our summer brochure of citywide events, and I'll be letting you know when you can get some of these brochures, or if you need an electronic version when they come out. We'd also like to run a pop-up art and craft event in Darwin Green, and we'd like to run this in partnership with the residents. So we're going to be asking permission to do this and to run it in their roads, and if there's any volunteers that would like to help out. And if this goes well, then we can run some more. And this would be after school, under a gazebo, just a table, some simple arts and crafts. The locations could move around the site depending on permissions. If you would like to be a part of this, please do contact me. And I will also be attending the Active Families event, as mentioned by Joe, on Tuesday the 22nd in Edington. Please do come up and find me, introduce yourself, say hi. I enjoy meeting community members. Just like to mention and remind people of the community chest funding. This is money from section 106 funding and is there to help start up new groups, reinvigorate current groups and fund local events. You can apply it for £250 to get your group or event going, and you can contact me for more details, for an application form or just a chat about what it can be used for. All applications for community chest funds are approved by local community members. Just lastly, my contact details are on the screen. I'll just read them out in case you can't read them. It's suzanne.jackson@cambridge.gov.uk, and my mobile is 07590 822 080 for calls, text or WhatsApp. Please do contact me if you want to organise a walkabout. Please do contact me if you'd like to discuss an initiative for a new community group. If you'd like to volunteer in your community, if there's anything you'd like to see more of, if you'd like to come along and help at our community picnic, or if you'd like to run a playing out session. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take those. I'll just stop sharing now.
That's great. Thanks so much, Suzanne. There's some lovely events there to look forward to. Just looking in the questions and answers. Does anyone have any questions for Suzanne this evening? None as yet. Okay.
Absolutely fine.
Well, if we do get any, we can answer those in writing and do the update on the forum website. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Right, so we're back now to a general question and answer session. And unsurprisingly, we are still getting a lot of questions in respect of the BDW2 site. I'll try and take as many of those as I can. So there are concerns about the demolition of those houses and what that might mean in terms of impacts on residential amenity. And absolutely, officers, we share those concerns and we want to make sure that those potential impacts are appropriately controlled, and that we will be working with the developer to ensure that we understand the demolition method statement and that we get that technical information agreed before final sign off with our environmental health officer. So that would control things like dust, noise and vibration and so forth. So would want to reassure you that as part of the regularisation of the situation and the submission of any planning application for the demolition works, we would be looking to control those potential impacts on residential amenity. There are also concerns about whether the development of the site does comply with the approved planning permission, which was granted last year. We have officers that are monitoring these issues, and they will be proactive in going out on site if they do receive complaints or queries about these matters. They will be investigating, they will be reporting back. So it's an ongoing monitoring of the site, but as yet there have been no conclusions made at the present time about the site levels, for example, questions raised. So BDW press briefings yesterday suggest that their engineers report on phase 1 foundations is ready. Residents have not received it. Have the council? I'm sorry, that was a question that I'm not aware of what that issue is. So we can take that one away and look into that and provide an update via our website. There's a question from Lillian about the Windsor Road cycling and walking and progress for a temporary link road. Now, I know this is something that's been very considered very important by the communities. It's an update from the developer that we would need in respect to this particular matter. We will take that one away and ask what progress is being made in respect of that temporary link. Martin Khan has asked, a new balancing pond is to be constructed at the northern end of the development, proposed to provide public access. Is there an update on progress on this and when access will be possible? That's a good question, because I do recollect we did grant planning permission for that some time ago. We will take away that question for the developer and we'll ask what their planned phasing program is in respect of the balancing pond. And I'm hoping that at the next forum in November, we will have representatives from the developer team that can come in and provide an update on the various sites and be here at the next forum to answer in more detail these questions to which we've been raising this evening. I think that's covered all the questions now. So I think we can bring to, as we come to an end, the forum for this evening. I would like to thank you all once again, all the presenters, panelists, officers and attendees for joining us. A special thanks to the communities teams at the City Council and the District Council. You've all worked really hard behind the scenes to organise and deliver this. I'm particularly grateful. We'll aim to have the recording and the question and answer responses available on the forum webpage within 2 weeks. And I'd also like to invite all attendees to complete a Zoom survey, which will pop up in your browser when the meeting ends. The survey takes less than 2 minutes to complete, and we're really keen for feedback regarding the format of our next forum, which date for your diaries is on the 8th of November. We're also keen on hearing feedback in respect of potential topics for discussion. So on that note, I'll bring this forum to a close. And we look forward to seeing you again at the next forum in November. Many thanks.